Okay, welcome back to Swans cast again, everyone. So we've got Millwall, Swansea against Millwall, the next match on the weekend. So we're away again. 4 defeats on a bounce. Not looking positive at the moment, but maybe that's going to come to an end, and that's what we're here to discuss today. So I've got Lee with me and Nicky. So welcome back, Nicky, making his second appearance.
Yep.
Yeah. So Saturday then, 12:30 kickoff. Swansea are going up to Millwall. Is this the one where we nip this run of losses in the bud? What do we think?
Well, I put on we've got the Sky prediction thing again, haven't we? For the just to plug that we were on the Sky podcast again.
Yeah.
I put on that the bad run is going to come to an end, and this is it. This is the turnaround.
It's not like you to be positive.
I know, it is strange. And again, look what a couple of days does, because literally like 2 days ago I was doom and gloom. I'm ready to go again, and I think it's going to be the end of the run. I think it's going to... We hit rock bottom on Monday, didn't we? That was proper rock bottom. So I think there's only one way to go from here. I think it's going to start. I think the run is going to start on Saturday.
Okay. Nicky?
Tough game, Millwall, away from home. They've won their last 3 games in a bounce.
Yeah, they're sneaking up the league table, I didn't realise.
Yeah, it's a tough game. But it's one of them games where we're either going to play well or it's just going to be another dreadful... Because Millwall are a physical team and we don't seem to do well against these physical teams, do we really? There's not enough bite at the moment. Definitely not from all of them.
What's a record against Gary Rowett like? His sort of football, like he was at Stoke when I feel like we didn't really enjoy our time. I feel like when he was at Stoke, maybe we were one of the clubs that helped him out when he was having a bad time.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But
I always forget he's there. I always forget Rowett is there. I just always forget because he normally quite, like, I don't know, maybe it's just what I've seen. But he's normally quite
stabilised
vocal.
a bit, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
But he's been around the houses a bit as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough game. I like this. To be honest, I'm going to put a positive tint. I think the Swans can beat Millwall. They're not great shakes, Millwall. But like I said, we haven't played well the last 2 games. Physical team.
Yeah.
Hopefully, can come up.
We've got a few good results up there recently, haven't we? I think. We drew last year. I think we drew last year up there it was after the lockdown. I think we played them away. I think we drew 1-1, and then I can't remember what we did up there last year.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, the year before that, I think, is when Montero had a great game, didn't he?
That's one of the best. Like Baker Richardson got sent off, didn't he? Like really early.
Oh, that was class.
1-1. That was such a good game.
It's in our hands, isn't it? You know what I mean?
We won the earlier game this year 2-1. At home, obviously, but back then we perhaps played a lot better. Like in this game specifically, we had 14 shots, 4 on target. They had 12, 5 on target. So that's about average, what you kind of expect in a championship, I would say. 58% possession. So like this narrative that we've never played, decent football under Cooper. Like back earlier this season, like I was saying to you the other day, Lee, like everyone kind of is tinted a little bit because of the last couple of months. All of a sudden it's like we've played bad all year and grinded out results, whereas actually the first half of the season we did play quite well quite often, and it wasn't always grinding out results. I know it was only a 2-1 win in the end, and it probably was a tough game, but we played well to win earlier this season. Lately it has been, performances haven't been there, and now the results have started to follow. But I guess, you always have a bit of a rut in the championship, and this has gone a bit long, but in terms of the results, it's 4 games in a row that we've lost, but it is kind of our only rut, if you like, in terms of results consistently. So considering we're still 4th, I guess it could be worse.
Well, I think, to be honest, like you said there, Luke, the rut has gone on a bit long. But if you think about it, if they can beat Millwall and now put like a sequence of results together now and start a run, for me, the top 2 are gone now. They're gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's all about the playoffs for us now. But if you can start getting results now and start picking up results, this is probably the best time going into the playoffs. I mean, be the informed team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess that's what he'd be looking at now. I think he's lost 4 games in a row. Better that it happened now, as long as it doesn't continue. Better that it happened now instead of the last 4 games of the season or something.
Definitely. Yeah. Like you don't want to be going into the playoffs losing the last 2-3 games in a bounce. I mean, that spells disaster, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, in terms of the league, I think we mentioned a couple of times in past videos. We looked at the run-in. We said we probably would have had to come out of the blocks flying out of the international break even, and hasn't happened that way. Brentford have overtaken us as well now, even if it is by only 1 point, because they are kind of, I would say, on par with us in terms of bottling it, but they're at least getting draws. But they definitely have taken advantage themselves. So I feel like, Watford and Norwich, Norwich is done. Watford, something drastically has to go wrong there for them not to get second now, in my view.
What are we? 9 points or 10, is it?
10 points off Watford. Obviously, though,
game in hand, isn't it?
We have got a game in hand, and we do have to play them. But then, even if we won both of those, there's still 4 points. So realistically, they only need to drop 4. But I can't.
They got Reading on Friday and Brentford. They play Brentford as well.
Yeah, but I just we know winning. We haven't won the games that we should be winning. I'm just saying, it could still happen. But for us, I think, and maybe this change of mentality would help us. And if we ended up miraculously sneaking into second as a result of it, then happy days. But maybe the focus in the squad, rather than being under pressure to push for top 2, which maybe since we've been under that pressure coming into the tail end of the season is when we've not done so well. Maybe if he changes it now to okay, don't worry about that now. We'll just go into the playoffs in as strong as form as we can. Let's find something that works now. Maybe if we change, he went to a 4 at the back again. I know it didn't work so much in the last game, but if they persist with that and find something that works to not be so predictable, which we have been, and obviously Lee Bowyer came out and said we've been predictable and it was easy for them to nullify us. Just focusing on regaining some form and some attacking threat. And then, like I said, if best case scenario, Watford do manage to massively muck it up and we snuck in because we're not focused on it, happy days. But I feel like us focusing on the fact that we were challenging for that position, the players haven't performed since, really.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think like we said on it, since the Norwich game when we were 2 points off top, that was sort of the peak, wasn't it? And it was in our hands, and then since then they haven't really played well. So I think maybe they've stiffened up a bit, realising it was in their hands, and it's just gone a bit shit since then.
I mean, you could argue it's natural because the team experience at this sort of experience is at the level, but in terms of what they're challenging for, maybe it's the first time they've all had something like this happen, and handling it is a different ball game, especially in the year with COVID where they're probably so isolated and what can they do? They're probably literally home going to train, and do you know what I mean? It must take a toll on you to an extent. I mean, we don't really talk about that side of things as fans. We just expect performances a little bit.
Maybe even just walking out and about in the city, getting the buzz off the fans. You know what I mean? When we were doing well, you know what I mean? That could lift you, can it? But maybe as well because there's a lot of youngsters around the team. Obviously, it's an experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well, I just look at like you said about the Norwich game. We played great in that game, won that game. Since then, I don't know what's happened. It's just it's been quite drastic, hasn't it? The performances, it's just gone. Yeah. I don't know whether it's like you said, if it's if it's, I don't know whether it's a confidence thing or whether there's something behind the scenes that's happened that we don't know of. Obviously, because we don't know everything, and obviously you get people who are criticising. Every say 10 pence worth in, but they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. What's happening on the training pitch? What's happening in the club?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just gone. I don't know whether I think it's just a confidence thing. I think it's just they've lost the last 4 in a row. They had the international break. They lost to Cardiff, which was a massive game for us, and they just seem like they're on the floor at the minute. But the only way it goes up.
That was a weird one as well, though, because they played so well. I still think they played quite well the second half of that Cardiff game. When you compare it to what we've seen in the last 2 games since, that second half of the Cardiff game is like completely different to what they've shown in the 2 after it. I know we didn't get anything out of it, and we didn't score, and all that, the rest of it. But in terms of trying to create something, we haven't. And you could argue, obviously, Cardiff dropped off and let us have it, but it's just like that intensity. Even I know it's a derby, but it's shown they can do it. But like the last 2 games have been so bad that it's like just completely. I just don't get how the difference is there.
I don't know if I was just thinking now while you were talking. I don't know if like breaks do us any good this season. Looking at it, because we were sort of playing really well until the Sheffield Wednesday game was called off as well, and then after that break, it just seemed to die off a bit as well. And then I thought the international break was going to do us well. The first 2 games after the international break probably been the 2 worst games of the season.
I think we mentioned this at the time.
I think you said it in a video, like maybe the fatigue sets in a bit more. Maybe when you're playing regularly, I know it's a lot of games, but maybe when you get a rest then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think I said like the adrenaline's kind of keeping them going. They're doing well. They're challenging at the top end. You've got midweek weekend. Then all of a sudden, the routine is kind of broken when they were all prepared for the game. They were preparing for that, yeah. They were expecting to go to Sheffield. All of a sudden, that's not happening. Kind of messes with the routine a little bit. You've prepared for the game. The game's not happened. I don't know. Like, it's a weird thing to talk about. I would never experience it because I've never been in that situation. But maybe like all of a sudden, then with that gap and not sort of working your muscles the way that they have done, does that then maybe let the tiredness set in that it's kind of there, but you haven't noticed it so much because the adrenaline's pushing you through a little bit. And then obviously that happened again with Blackburn, and then the international break's an even longer period for if you're gonna, you've been at it for a while, for example, doing a lot of work. All of a sudden, you take a step back, have a day or 2 off, and then you feel it. Do you get me? I think we've all had that in work and stuff. You have your day off from work, and all of a sudden, you're tired on your day off, then after you finish the shift the day before.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. Obviously, quite a few of our players were away on international duty as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
So like, obviously, like, Jamal Lowe was playing for Jamaica, wasn't he? So it's not exactly... Well, close to home. So, but I thought the international break would be like, because like, well, I play football now, and I've done it before where the season's been played and you have to play a midweek game and play a weekend game. I just thought maybe like mentally, the international break would give them a bit of a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like obviously we were in that bit of a bad run before the international break, so I thought maybe, what was it, 2 weeks off, wasn't it? So them 2 weeks they could just like, right, okay, what's happening here? What, you know what I mean? Where do we need to focus on? And where can I make my game a bit better? You know what I mean? Where have I been lacking maybe in the last couple of games where I could, and mentally just sit there and think about it. You know what I mean? Like, because like I said, I played games where we played midweek, we played weekend, midweek, and I tell you what, and I know they say footballers on thousands of pounds a week.
That's irrelevant. I hate that argument.
It's irrelevant. But it does take its toll. Like, and I played amateur level. It does mentally. It does tire you out. It does. It's a lot happening. And what, like you said, twice a week you play. There's a lot. It does, and that does it. And then that sometimes affects you physically as well. Yeah. Because you mentally. You know what I mean?
I hate that argument when people say like they earn enough money to deal with it. It's like, well, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. If your body is tired, your body is tired. Money is not going to change that. Like, it's not like, oh, they're a professional, they should have to deal with it. Like, I would deal with it for that much money. Oh yeah, really? So you're telling me you could just go and like run 90 minutes midweek, weekend just because you're earning 80k a week, for example? I don't think it works like that. Like, it doesn't. It's just a silly argument.
Yeah, and plus, don't forget, in between that, you train in like 2 or 3 times a day. It's not like you just go. It's not like you in work. Say, like I say, you've got an office job. I know that's mentally tiring as well, looking at a screen all day. But like, you know what I mean. You train in 2 or 3 times a day as well. You know what I mean. You're permanently on the pitch, and you permanently, your mental status. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, I think, like you said about the break being bad for us, and you said they should maybe work on. They could have like looked at it as a way of like, what do I need to work on? Maybe as well, losing to Cardiff before a 2-week break was not the ideal game. Yeah. Do you get me? Like, you've got 2 weeks now where you can't even just bounce back from, like, that's the one you don't want to lose. It's the one none of your fans want to lose. You just want to, like, you say sorry or whatever, but you want to make up for it on the pitch. They've got this massive gap now to do that, and it's like stewing in their mind.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that was, like, again, that's bad timing. It's a lot of factors, I guess. Like, you can never put your finger on exactly what the issue is, but just got to hope that they can turn it around. And I think we said in the last video as well, Lee, that for Steve Cooper as a manager, we'll get onto him a little bit more a bit later and get maybe Nicky's views on him. But this is his first proper period where he's kind of got a challenge of turning something round. I know he's had losses here and there, and last season was a bit more up and down than this season. But in terms of, like, blowing something or, like, a long period now where it's like, right, something's gone wrong, you need to change it. Can you change it? It's the first time he's properly having to answer those questions. So as a young manager as well, it's a good test for him. And I'm sure every single manager ever has had that challenge. So yeah, it's he's still learning as well. I think that's important to, like, take a note of. Looking at the form then, just before we maybe discuss a bit more about individual things like the manager. We said Millwall have been on good form. I did have a quick look. So the last 8 games, they've won 5 and lost 3. So decent. But you said, like, they've won the last 3 as well on the bounce. And in a 5-game span, which when we normally look at it, is 4 out of 5. So they are doing well. They've actually snuck up to 9th place. They've jumped over Middlesbrough, who all season have been lurking outside the playoffs that have tailed off in recent weeks. But Millwall, I think, have been mid-table, I think, most of the season. So they're on a strong end, and they're looking to, like, finish solidly in the top half. So I guess it's going to end up being a good season for them. So they'll be looking to keep that form going, especially playing us when they look at who we've been losing against. Preston, who were bottom of the form table when we played them. Birmingham, who were, like, 1 from relegation. And again, like, both teams just changed their manager because of poor results. So they'd be thinking it's an opportunity. We all know about our form. 4 losses on the bounce, and a win against Luton before that, which early goal, and then you could argue we weren't really in the game for that afterwards. So difficult spell. So what does Cooper need to do then to change it then? What can he change to, like, what needs to happen for us to come away with a result?
Well, it's a funny one, isn't it? It's hard. It's that job. I don't envy Cooper's job whatsoever. Like I said, to be fair, I think most of the heads are in the shed at the minute with what's happened. But he needs to, like, give them the realization they were in a great position where we are at the minute. I'm sure he's probably talked about this last few weeks. Obviously, last couple of games we played. To be fair, when we played Preston, I don't know if the back 4 served us that well. I know we were talking about wing backs and that, and they get pressed high up the pitch, but I think we seem to play better with with 3 centre halves and 2 wing backs. It probably bid well back into the team. I
thought Manning was alright though. Probably one of the more positive.
Yeah, he's a good player, but I think he is quite good going forward. But I think Bidwell probably gives us a bit more.
Fair enough.
More at the back. And plus, he can put. We all know that Bidwell can whip a good ball in, don't we?
Yeah.
I just think we need maybe bring Corey Smith back into the team. You know what I mean? Good solid player. He can go and collect the ball for back 4, turn, have a look, push Grimes a little bit further up the pitch.
Yeah.
Give him where we were playing well.
I agree with what you're saying about Grimes, but I feel like Cooper is tasking him to be that, like, deepest player in terms of when we have possession. He's the one he wants collecting it, spraying around. I think Potter started that trend, and I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, because obviously Grimes is, like, history before us and his loan history under us. We signed him from Exeter, wasn't he? And he was a cam there. When he's been out on loan for, like, Northampton, he played as a cam. He got a few goals in that season. Probably one of their best players, I think, that they loved him down there. I know he didn't have a successful time at Leeds, but I mean, Gary Monk's system probably doesn't suit him the way that he kind of plays, does it? Let's be honest. But yeah, like, he's done well for us, but he's kind of transitioned. He's never really been a cam for us since he's been first team. bear in mind, when he came into the team under Potter didn't even have him in his midfield. He had him at left back because we didn't have cover. And he wasn't the starting midfielder. He earned that under Potter, one player of the season as a result of his good performances, which is good, and that's fair. But like I always do wonder in the back of my head, like you're saying, further up the pitch, I would love to see him playing in that cam role, which I would argue is a role that we are really missing, someone that can just grab by the scruff of the neck. And he's got a good shot on him and a pass on him.
I was going to say, I think... Go on, Nick.
Sorry. No, you go, Lee. Go.
No, I was going to say on the cam thing, I said in the last video, I'm really like back and forth what he should do. He either goes back to the back five, just to grind out the rest of the season, pick up a few draws, pick up a 1-0 win or something, just to get into the playoffs. I think if he's going to go with a back four, we desperately need someone in that cam position, because that was the problem on Monday, I think, looking back, because he had the back four and the flat three in the middle, and then the three up top, and there was no link at all. It was so easy to defend against, and having like no shots on target is tragic. So I think that was the missing link. So if he's going to play with a back four, he's got to play with someone behind Ayew as well, because Ayew on his own in the middle doesn't work for me.
To be honest with you,
I think if he plays Dander in there, with Ayew ahead of him, or Horahan in there with Ayew ahead of him, that might work. That might work better. I
don't know. For me personally, I don't know how you boys feel. Right, watching the last game, I don't know why we got Whittaker, right, and he's played right. We got Whittaker. He's a big lad, he must be 6'3", right?
Yeah,
big boy. I don't understand why we're playing him out wide.
No, we said this.
You have to play this boy up top. You have to play this boy up top. Ayew was, for me, right. Ayew was not a centre forward. He's not.
No,
he's not a centre forward. So that's I don't know. To be honest with you, he might be better off maybe playing. I don't know. Maybe putting Dander on the wing or something, and then bringing Ayew in the cam role, and then pushing Whittaker up top. You know what I mean? Need someone with a bit of something. Maybe playing like, I know Routledge is. He's not over the hill, but he's certainly not far under it. But it's a winger, getting a winger, like a proper winger out there, getting Whittaker up top, Jamal Lowe out left, and Ayew in behind Whittaker. You got the boy. He's a big lad. He's 6'3". Put the ball in the box. He's going to get his end.
But even when he plays Routledge, he plays Routledge as a striker now, not a winger. Like when he brought Routledge on for Whittaker, he put Ayew on the wing and played out Routledge up front.
That really annoyed me, that did, because I just thought Ayew comes deep when the game isn't going his way. He just comes deep, so you've got no one in the middle, and you've got no striker. He drops deep.
If he's going to drop deep as well, then he may as well play McCann, because if he's going to drop in a bit. He may as well play him in that area. But I don't. Maybe well, this is a shout for me. I don't know whether maybe pushing Dander wide. He's got tricky feet. He can pick a pass in. He can cross the ball in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've played on the left before.
Yeah. So play him out wide and see what he can do up there.
For me, I think you're right. I think the reason Ayew's dropping deep is because there is no cam, so there's no one to give him the ball. He gets frustrated and he drops. But the fact that he has to do that. But yeah, you're right. He's not a centre forward, especially on his own. It kind of works in a two because he can bounce off someone. But on his own, he's not tall enough to be like the target man. The only way he's going to really win balls in the box is if they're low crosses and he's beating the guy to it. I know he's good in the air, but when you're up against two centre backs that are taller than you, you're very against it. And he loves to cut in anyway on his left foot. So why isn't he not just out on the wing? Steve Cooper said all along since he's been here, I want to get Ayew closer to the goal. He's the most clinical. He's our biggest threat. I want to get him closer to the goal. And I just think that's he's just stuck in that mindset with him now. That
even if he's out wide, like you said there, Luke, he likes to cut in, right? So even if he's out wide, Whittaker's up top, say, and he plays a ball into Whittaker, and Whittaker can lay the ball back across to him, and he can always have a shot. He cuts inside. But I mean, he's still a goal threat, isn't he?
Yeah, no, we agree. And we said the other day, the fact that he's up there on his own. Everyone knows he's our main threat now. They all kind of double mark him out of the game.
Yeah,
so by changing him and putting him on the wing, kind of catches the teams off guard. They're not expecting it, and if they are going to still double mark him, they might pull people out of position a little bit more. and having them 1-2s, maybe things would open up a little bit more, and allow the space that he can flourish in, and he clearly hasn't been doing for the last couple of months.
I think that front three on paper, I think is quite good. Like Lowe, Whittaker, and Ayew. I think that could definitely work. I mean, it's the first, from memory, it's the first time he started with a back four in the league.
Yeah, I think so this season.
He's going to need some tweaking, but we don't know. Maybe like one or two little tweaks. You just stumble on something that just flies us into the playoffs, and they may. But like, I just maybe give Lowe and Ayew a bit of a free roll on the wings, just they can swap and leave Whittaker in the middle as just your focal point, and just have Lowe and Ayew just all over the place.
You're right, because at the minute you can't. I mean, I know. Obviously, like Swans fans can be watching it, so they say we're in fourth. Like at the minute you've got nothing to lose because we all know just a drastic losing streak. So I don't know why you can't just go right, lads. You're on the right wing. Low, you on the left wing. Whittaker up top. Are you cut in? You swap wings if you want to. You know what I mean? Give them that little bit of freedom. Freedom creates creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe just like keep the defence structured, keep like the two sitting midfielders structured. I agree completely with Lee. To be honest, not even with a back four. I think if he goes back to a 5, he needs a cam either way. If it's the 2 sitting and then the cam and then the 2 up top, or I just think flat 3 and centre mid drop in now. We need goals, so it needs to go.
Yeah.
So if whether you trust in Dander, if you trust in Dander, you trust in him till the end of the season. At this point, I think you're going in that role. Show me you can create stuff. I'm going to trust you with a run of games. Make it happen.
You can do it.
No, I'm just saying, like if he needs to make that call, and it is a risk. It is a risk. He is a luxury player, but if he turns it on and it works, maybe that's what he needs is a little bit of trust and a run of games, like just to make something happen. If it's not Dan, then it's someone else. Whatever, same situation. He needs to someone needs to be in that role behind the attacking players, a link player. So the forward, whoever it is, if it's Ayew, if it's Whittaker, doesn't need to drop deep to get the ball, doesn't lose our shape, doesn't mean so the players can stay up there, make runs in behind, cause a bit of trouble, swap around if they want to. But like, yeah, I just think that needs to happen now, and you need to, like Nicky said, just go for it. Like at the end of the day, you 3 up top and Dander, right? When we've got the ball, do we want? When we haven't got the ball, obviously the system. Yeah,
as long as you keep shape, that's the most important thing. Defensively, you've got to keep shape. And like I can't see no problem. Like even maybe, which could cause confusion in defences, is even all 3 of them swapping. So maybe like I don't know, first 15 minutes you have Whittaker up top and Ayew and Lowe out wide, then swap the wingers, and then maybe one of them rotate the centre forward. Because remember a few years ago we did it.
West Brom. My favourite game ever watching was when we beat West Brom 3-1. It was Pablo, Dyer, and Routledge. And they just swapped everywhere, and in that first half was probably the best football I've ever seen us play. I'm not even lying. Under Laudrup, that was.
I can't imagine. I know we're a different team than obviously, but I like as a centre half, I can't imagine anything worse. It's trying to. It's like what's happening here? Where's he going? It causes confusion. It does. You don't know who is going where, who's playing where.
Yeah.
It will. Like, who do I mark? Who don't I mark? Who do I pick up here? You don't know who's making runs. It's confusing for defences.
A couple of positives from the last game in terms of the forwards. Like, it's weird saying positives after when you look at the stats in the game, but I do think Lowe looked a little bit more lively, and he was trying to take people on, which we haven't seen. He didn't have a good game by any stretch of the means, but he hadn't taken people on in the way that he was trying to, and he did get past them a couple of times, and he cut in. Just his finishing product was a bit crap, but he did get in those positions, and he looked more lively and trying to take people on. So it was nice to see that. So encourage that. Ask him to do that more. Whittaker was doing the same down the other side, but he was kind of going to the byline a bit more, and again a cross in rather than cutting in again a shot in. But he was still taking people on, and it was
I like him. I like Whittaker.
Yeah,
I do like it.
So that needs to be like, right, that's good, boys. Double down on it, kind of thing. Back yourselves, but then have that guy in behind that's there for the support if you need to cut back or to spray them if they're making a run through. Give that extra dimension.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we probably have to shift on, but what you said about the midfield now has been stirring in my mind. I think like we are crying out for a bit of help from midfield. I think that you're right. The flat 3 is gone. We're just crying out for a bit of help because I think maybe that's why the formation stopped working, because we were relying on like Ayew and Lowe to do something, the back structure sort of held up strong. Then I think once teams figured out how to stop Ayew and Lowe, that was it. That was game over then. Yeah. So I think if you could just sort of push someone into midfield just to give them something to think about. And all teams have got it. All teams have got a midfielder that creates and plays balls in behind. And I just haven't seen that for ages. I haven't seen like one of the front three or one of the front two just make a run in behind and a midfielder put a ball through. Just don't see it.
I think Grimes tries to do it the most. The issue is he's always the most deepest person when he's trying to do it. So often the ball's not coming off, or by the time it comes off, like they've managed to recover. That's the problem, because he's doing it. He is probably the most like accurate with the passing. He's got a good eye, and he just from that. He's not the one you want doing it from that sitting position. If that's his role, it needs to be someone that's higher up the pitch that's doing that sort of pass. I don't want to slit Horahan too much, but I've not seen his passing abilities being like anything extraordinary from what was like the hype before he came in. Being this like wand with a left foot, he has got a wand with a left foot from a set play, but in terms of open play stuff, I've not really. I can't, like sometimes Grimes plays a ball and you're like, oh, that's a good ball. Do you know what I mean? But I haven't seen that from Horahan really.
I don't know if he's had many opportunities to do it, to be honest with you, because like you said,
I'm not criticising.
I like you said there, Luke. Like Grimes is obviously the one who takes the ball off back four, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he has more opportunity to probably spread a 40-yard pass, maybe, and things like that. And Horahan obviously plays a little bit further up the pitch. But I think my frustration at the minute with the team is I don't like that. I always say get ready if you're in trouble, but there's too many long balls for me. They missed, like I said, we talked about it before.
Yeah.
Before we came on live on you. They just miss out midfield too much for me. They go long way too much, and it's just I don't like to say the Swansea way, but I don't think we haven't got the players who can play to that. Like I know we got like if we play Whittaker centre forward, big lad, strong on that. We haven't got the players in and around him to play like that. We need our Cooper will know, and he will want to play with the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
But sometimes I know if you haven't got the option, if you haven't got an option, you've got to go long. I wouldn't play a dangerous ball in midfield. But it seems like the minute that we haven't had that option for quite a while.
Yeah. They are going long a lot. I think Kabanga is one of the worst for doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
But they're kind of kicking it to the wings and asking Ayew or Lowe to like run into that space. But they don't get the ball. Sometimes you end up getting a throw-in out of it, and that's usually the best result. If it lands on them, neither of them is winning the header. And I think Ayew is quite savvy to that now. I've noticed quite a lot of times he kind of doesn't challenge and he hopes to win the second ball. So he'll kind of back into the defender, won't actually jump, he'll come off him and try and get onto the second ball. Because he knows he's not going to win it. And that's like not him not trying, which a lot of people will, jump on Twitter straight away and say he's not. But it's just him trying to use his strengths to get the best out of the situation. He knows he's not going to win against a 6'2" centre back.
I know.
And Whittaker as well.
He's good in the air.
Yeah, no, he is good in the air. Like it's just when your back's to it, isn't it? It's not like.
Oh yeah, no.
He wants to be running on a cross in the box and then winning that header.
Yeah, of course he does, yeah.
And Whittaker, he is a big lad, but I don't think he's necessarily a big lad in a way of a target man where he can, again, win that sort of ball, even if he's up front. Maybe he'll get... The height will get him a couple of knockdowns. But I don't know if he's the strongest centre forward. But that's not necessarily... I'm not asking him to be that, but he's not like... I don't think he's like Kiefer Moore, for example.
His frame is like that, that's why.
Yeah.
It is.
Like you saw that in the first 20 minutes of the Cardiff game, he was getting knocked off the ball left, right, centre and pushed around. And that was perhaps a little bit of a baptism of fire, and he did come good after that. But he is young, and that was probably like a shock to the system playing in that sort of match. Yeah, he probably really didn't know what to expect going into that. And he did, to be fair to him, he came good after it, and credit on that, because a lot of other kids could have gone into hiding and been subbed at half time after the start he had in that game. But
I do like him. He shows a lot. He like you said there, Luke. He's got a bit about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? like you said, like the first half against Cardiff was a bit rough for him. Like, but then you know what I mean. He was like a lot of players would have gone back into their shell and be like, oh, odd. But like he sort of went, no, I'm not having this. You know what I mean? And give a bit. And he's always willing to have a shot. I love that.
Yeah,
Outside the box, have a pop.
No, I think he's done good, and he's probably been our most exciting player in recent games, and that says a lot considering his experience at the level.
That was the biggest question for me though, because he was definitely our best player in the last 2 games before the international break. Ayew and Lowe went away on international break. He had 2 weeks off. They didn't bring him on until the 92nd minute.
Oh, that was just weird.
I don't get it at all.
I don't really understand. Cooper and his subs is like another debate altogether. Like, I would love to have a sit down with the guy and just understand where he's coming from, I guess. I mean,
get him on here one day. Get him on here.
But you know what I mean? Like he said in his interview afterwards that the reason they didn't make subs in that game, it was the Birmingham one. This was because like we'd have a period. You'd be thinking about subs, then we'd have a period of the ball, and you think, oh, we're creating something new, so we'd kind of sit back down, and then it would go the other way. So you'd be like, oh, maybe we should make a sub. And then we'd have a period of the ball, and it's like, okay, yeah, sit back down. But it's like, that's going to happen all the time, especially if you're like 0-0 or looking for a goal, which we were.
Yeah.
You'd expect that to happen. We weren't playing well. You must have said something at half time to try and change that. So you should be expecting them to do something a bit better anyway. Like, doesn't mean you still shouldn't change it. Because at this point, nothing has changed. You might have a little bit more of the ball, but they haven't scored, have they? So what's the risk, I guess? But yeah, I don't know. Weird. Yeah, okay. Well, let's ask you this then, Nicky, while we're here, because we probably debate quite a bit about the team. We have touched on Steve Cooper now, so just a sensible time, I think, to ask. What do you think of all the Steve Cooper in or out? What's your opinion on it all?
Steve Cooper in or out? I can't. He's in for me. He's got to be, man. You know what, right? I know we have had trouble for the last 4 games, and I know we haven't played well in the last, I'd probably say close to 8, 9, 10 games, really, before that. But you've got to think of what he's done with this team. He has had basically next to no money.
Yeah.
And he's got them to 4th in the Championship. I'm sorry, I know. Obviously, with losses, you'll always get your criticism, and that's part of football. You know what I mean? It is. That is. If you lose, you're going to get criticised for it, and that's fair enough. And some of the things you look at, like Luke, you touched on there. Both of you touched on the subs there, and sometimes I'm watching the telly and I'm going, "What are you doing with the subs?" Like, you know what I mean? Like daft subs are like 85 minutes. You know, only 5 minutes. How are we supposed to impose on a game in 5 minutes and things like that? But you know, he works with them boys day in day out. But he's brought this team on, hasn't he? With what he's done, with what he's had, the resources that he's had, he's done well. You can't. If they finish in the playoffs now, I would have said like most Swans fans would have been happy with them finishing the playoffs this season, but they not.
I would have taken playoffs start of the season. At the end of the day, that's it. Now that's an expansion on last season, isn't it? So
we got to look at what he's done. All right, we started like a train, didn't we? Like, you know, we done well, but this, like we said, now this is his time now. This is when he's got to learn the ropes of obviously professional football, like at a club level. He's had a bad run now. How does he turn it around?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. This is where we see, you know, how good he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When winning everything's rosy, everything's fine. That's fair enough. But when you're losing and you're down and you sort of like, you know, I mean, the confidence is low. This is where we see how good he is now.
That's fair. I think you're spot on. I think it was a bit raw when we did the video last time after the 2 losses.
But we even agreed that we didn't want him to go.
Oh no, I don't think he should go. I think like I've seen a lot of things like in the media and stuff today, like people talking about like Cooper, and people still saying like how like much of a good job he's done. Like, pundits are saying like how good he has done for the squad that he's got. What he has dragged out of that team is incredible for the player. If you look at the resources we've got and the players we do actually have, looking at the likes of like Norwich and Watford and, you know, Brentford and even Bournemouth and these teams, to be in that mix. We've got a mid-table squad, if we're being honest.
Yes, we have. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think look, taking a step back and looking at it, I think like he's done class, and like I can understand people being upset as we were after the game with the 4 losses. But I think if we can, we did say though, I think if they really like nosedive and crash out of the playoffs, that'll be hard to recover from. But I think if he gets us into the playoffs and another playoff run, he's doing class. I said I want to see a manager that's here for 4 or 5 years to build, bringing in young players. They've signed a lot of young players up on new contracts now. Keep him in there for a few years. Build on something. It'd be great for us to get promoted. What I'm saying is there's no actual rush at the moment for us to get promoted. And I think a lot of people are sort of thinking, oh, we could get there and then we lose 4 games in a row and everything blows up and oh my God, Cooper's the worst manager ever.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, some of the criticism I've seen has been way over the top. Right?
Oh,
bloody hell.
But the thing is, all right.
I can't believe it.
He's competing against teams. You're competing against squads like Watford, Bournemouth, Norwich, right?
Even Brentford. Tony scoring like 30 goals in a season is crazy for the Championship.
Norwich, we beat Norwich, right? I mean, we played really good football that game, didn't we? We were excellent against Norwich, right? And Norwich have basically lost no one.
Well, they won 7-0 yesterday.
They've got a Premier League. I know, obviously, they didn't stay up. They've basically got a Premier League squad playing in the Championship. That's why they're so far ahead. And we beat them. And we played them off a park. You know what I mean?
If we had resources, we said about our January transfer window, right? And I've had time to think about it because you brought it up the other day as well. I said like he was reluctant to make change, wasn't he? Which is probably a reason why it's gone a bit wrong. But I think if we had 2 or 3 decent players in there, or even just a better sort of bench and a better strength in depth, then we would have challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with luck with the injuries, Cullen, Morris, etc.
Yeah, the crazy criticism now has gone way too far, though. Like people, he's the worst manager we've ever had, and all this sort of crap. I'm not buying it now. It's gone way too far. It
has gone too far. We've been mentioned in a lot of criticism tweets on Twitter. That's why I haven't got involved in it because
chill.
I'm not getting in an argument about it. We would have taken playoffs before the season started. It's frustrating to see autos were in reach and now maybe they're not. That is frustrating, but you've got to get over it at the end of the day. Football is a roller coaster.
It's definitely 100%.
And you're right. I think the only reason we said in the last video as well that if we drop out of the playoffs, maybe he goes, is because the mental effect that could have on him and the players from the position they were in, that could be something that's difficult to get over. But that's if they drop out of the playoffs, and then and that's not even necessarily get sacked, is it? That's like someone maybe comes in for him and he goes anyway.
That's another issue, isn't it? I think another thing to just while we're on it, because I've been like flicking through Twitter and stuff today. I don't know if it's just us, but so many people cling on to the past. Like Cooper has a bad run. Oh, look what we had under Laudrup. That's like 10 years ago.
That's probably peak Swansea though.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago now.
Probably the best team that Swansea have ever had. Then, really. No,
and I loved it. It was great, but like. People saying comparing Cooper to like Laudrup and Brendan Rodgers and stuff. That's long gone.
I always think about how it is a long time on. You're right, yeah. But like football is a roller coaster, right? You are like my dad always used to say, "There's many highs as you have with many lows," and that is the way football is. You look at teams like Portsmouth. How far have they gone down? Sunderland. How far have they gone down? I know Bolton. How far have they gone down? You know what I mean? Like that is just. It's sad to see like a lot of these teams.
But then you could even look at Leeds and Sheffield United. Yeah, they're in the Premier League at the moment, but they went down to League One.
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah, but that's just football. But I think a lot of these fans don't like they say like you on about Ellie on Twitter and saying like Cooper is the worst manager we had. I tell you what, they haven't seen some of the managers we have had. Because I tell you what, they would be in for a right shock if they were born a few years ago before they started watching. They would have a fucking problem.
Yeah,
we've had some bad managers over the years. The Cooper is actually one of the better ones, so I won't be worried about that.
Every manager's going to have his like things that you'd criticise about him.
Of course they will.
There's there's 20 teams below us in the league, and I'm sure every single one of those fans from them teams would take fourth in the Championship right now, and they've probably got stuff they could say about their team that they wish that something that we've got they would have. Like our defence, we're not the best defence in the league anymore, and we've been on a bad run. We definitely got issues scoring goals, but we still only losing like the last 3 games 1-0. I know that's still conceding a goal, but fix the goal scoring, and you either get a draw, potentially win it of those games. Do you know what I mean? It's not like the entire system is now falling apart. One aspect of it has gone a bit quiet, which it's not an easy fix. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like all of a sudden everyone on the team can't do a job, and I just haven't a clue.
I just understand why at the minute, especially obviously the talk about the defence here. I just understand at the minute why, obviously we've gone through most of the season where we've had the best defence in the championship, haven't we? I just don't know where we've gone a bit soft. I don't know. I know obviously I do like Cabango. Like you said, Luke, my only thing with Cabango is plays too many long balls for me. He doesn't really look into midfield. Where he's more polished, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He
can
bring the ball out.
I would say in a back five, he does seem to doesn't look as strong in a four, but then that could just be because he hasn't played in a four so much. He even plays in a 5 for England when he plays in the under 23s or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just think maybe obviously I said this to you, Lee, when we signed him beginning of the season. I said Bennett, great signing on a free transfer. I don't. This is his time now to come back into that team, being obviously the elder statesman at the back, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A leader at the back. You know, he was on loan at Leicester last year. You know what I mean? He played quite a few games at Leicester. So, I didn't realise he was at Leicester. You know what I mean? Yeah, he played quite a few. He played a few games at fullback at Leicester last year. So you know what I mean. He's a solid player. So I think he's got to come back in the team now and just calm things down at the back. We've got, especially with Millwall now coming up, we've got to stay solid. Get that solid unit first, and then work off the solid unit. Yeah. Need to stop the rut.
No, that's fair. I think we covered a lot in this video, but there's one more thing I want to cover because, it's kind of going back to what we said earlier a little bit in terms of it's time to just let the sort of shackles loose. And when we say let the shackles loose, one immediate game comes to mind, and that's Reading at the end of the season last year, when all of a sudden we needed to score goals, they found a way to do it. Yeah. So I don't know what he said for that to happen, and I know it's different. It was kind of like a cup final game, and you just kind of go for it. But there's got to be elements of that you can bring in now to the running. But that's not the point that I wanted to touch on. I wanted to touch on the point of somebody who's been on the bench for 20 plus games and hasn't come off once in the championship, and that's Ollie Cooper. Can we not just try him? He's an attacking midfielder. The one game that he played, he scored a goal in, and it wasn't exactly against a second string. It wasn't against a lower league team. It wasn't against a second string championship team. It was quite a decent Forest team that we played in that match. Quite a few first team players there.
This comes back to the subs though. You're saying about the Reading game where we sort of had to score goals. In games, I don't know, maybe last 2 games because we conceded late, but you have 5 subs now. I've never seen him chuck on, Dander and Cooper and Whittaker and everyone to try and get a goal. You desperately need a goal or something just to raise the tempo. Last game, having no shots on target. Surely, maybe you don't want to, you don't want to go on and lose the game, so you don't want to be too open. I can't think of a game this season, even when we've been losing, even Cardiff, chuck everybody on. I just haven't seen him do it just to up the tempo. Like you said, Ollie Cooper, get him on.
I would just like to see Ollie Cooper. I just want to see, he's meant to be. I'm not criticising Cooper again, but he's meant to be this coach that brings all this youth through, and that's why we brought him in. That's what he's here to do, and he's on the bench. Why is he not getting played? We're struggling. We're struggling to score goals. Sometimes a bit of raw talent in that sort of attacking position can do wonders. Doesn't mean he has to stay in the team, does he?
No, it's the no fear element, isn't it? Yeah. Obviously, you have no fear being a young kid. No, I do agree with you a little bit there. Maybe give him a go. I don't know. Maybe he's just obviously fighting and trying. I don't know what Cooper's mentality is at the minute. Maybe he's a bit frightened. He's just trying to hold on to a playoff spot. So he's thinking, I don't know if I can get... He's in a catch-22 with Cooper, isn't he? I suppose it's a hard place. You're in between a rock and a hard place. He goes out and he plays well and he scores a winning goal. You're like, great Cooper. You know what I mean? Great shout. Or he doesn't play well. and we lose another game. And he goes, why would you play him? Why would you play a youngster in an important game?
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22. I do like to see youngsters given a chance, and obviously that's why, like you said, he was brought in for youngsters to give him a chance. And we touched on earlier when we said he hasn't really got. Yeah, well, he hasn't got nothing to. No,
nothing to lose when you go 1-0 down, and then you bring on Ollie Cooper.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of times he could have done that. And I just thought of this as well as an extension to that point. George Byers going in January. He can play attacking midfielder as well. Like that's where he played in a youth setup.
Yeah, I don't think he was a bad player.
Did he need to go? Was that a sensible move?
I don't know. I think he would never have played, would he? I don't. Well, I think he doesn't make clubs.
In hindsight, I think he would have played now.
He would have played now.
Like,
would have played now.
He had to get back fitness, didn't he? And I think that's the reason he went ultimately, because we just brought all these people in January. We didn't know Ariel was going to get shipped back off. We didn't know Morris was going to get injured, and we didn't know we'd be in this rut, I guess. But I think Byers would have got some game time, just not week in, week out, which is what he probably needed. Like he played quite well. He played regular under Cooper last season. There was a period where everyone was like, "Oh, drop Byers," but he won't because he's Cooper's boy.
I don't know. I think I tell you who we do miss, who would have actually made a massive difference. Obviously, if he didn't have to go back, was Gibbs White.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
He would have made the difference. He would have made the odds up.
That's probably the biggest one of the season, isn't it? I think.
Gibbs White, because he played, he got injured. When he played, he was absolutely fantastic. Right? And then he got in. Obviously, he had that bad injury, and he's obviously went back to Wolves now. But what a great, technically gifted footballer. And I tell you what, if he was in this Swans team right now, I know we're not playing well in a minute, but he would give us that, like you said there, Luke, talk about the cam role. Yeah. In that cam role, he would have given us X factor.
And he kind of was brought in for that, and that's what the system was. Like he kind of covered Gallagher, didn't he, from last season? Not kind of all the same player, but he kind of looked at it. Maybe he thought we needed to maybe have a bit more goal threat, and he brought Gibbs White in to do it.
He looks a bit like Gallagher now with that haircut.
I didn't. That was the plan, wasn't it?
But
I didn't rate Gallagher that much, mind, just as a side topic. I didn't think he was that.
He mentioned that the other day. But like with Gibbs White, like he's brought in, he fit into the system well, and we kind of got away with it when he was injured. But like, there's no one to do that now, and now we're seeing it. We don't have a cam, we don't have someone creative. Clearly, that was a good decision by Cooper to get him in, and that role was getting covered by Gibbs White, and when he was there, he did look very good. And you always thought you could create something. So I guess arguably then it all rolls back to again he hasn't had that support to like get what he needs to do what he wants.
Especially in the second transfer window when I know, like you said earlier, Luke, you touched on Areola, that's just been a bit of a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Morris, obviously, unfortunately, he got injured, and he looked like that boy could play. To be fair to him, he was quick, he was strong. He bit more time. He could have probably shown what he's got, but he's never had. When we brought players in, they've never been players as good. Like when Gibbs White went back to Wolves, obviously, they never brought in at the back end to bring a player in like that.
Yeah,
like I know Horahan is not the same player as Gibbs White. No. He can't play in that role now.
He was brought in as the replacement because I think it was a case of he was available, and it's kind of you have to snap him up if he's available. But in terms of the system, it's not the same.
He's not the same player.
Yeah. And maybe that is like, I guess, like part of the problem in a way. Like they could probably both play in the same system, but he doesn't replace that, and that's what was missing. So it's not a slight on Horahan for anything, but we just didn't get the right thing in for what we needed going forward. And it's no sort of coincidence really that since January our goals have started drying up. I think like you Areola Morris, I think Morris was like, Cooper was happy with Morris coming in, and I think that was quite evident from the subs he was bringing him on. He was definitely getting him warmed up to like be more of a feature. Whereas with Areola, there was a bit of a saga about is he coming, is he not? And then he came on transfer deadline day, he comes from DC United. I think clearly he was not one that necessarily was wanted.
Yeah.
I think like it's two Americans, so people group them together. But I think he was happy with Morris. He knew what he was bringing, bit of pace, and it was clear that was something that was. He should have won a penalty against Norwich, for example. because of a run he made through.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
But Areola obviously was like, I mean, what does he add? Like, he's a bit of a utility man. That doesn't really. I don't even know what his position is.
Yeah,
he is a good player, but like you said, touched on earlier, Luke. Sorry, he's not. He wasn't. Well, like you said, he's brought in as a replacement for Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously, but he's not the same player.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't got. I don't like you said, no slant on her hands. I do think he is a good player, and you know what I mean. He is a welcome addition to the team, but hasn't got that X factor.
No,
like something unpredictable, something you can do, something flick a ball in a corner. You know what I mean? Bit of skill, go past someone. He hasn't got that in his locker. For me personally, that's what I think.
That one sub appearance Gibbs-White made after coming back from injury, he was only on for 10 minutes, and the amount of skill he pulled out in that 10 minutes. And it was kind of heartbreak because he got called back like 2 days later, didn't he?
he was class when he came on.
Just in the corner, playing games with the defenders, keeping the ball in the corner to hold on to the win, and then like...
Great player. Technically a great player. Great skill set. Powerful,
we probably never would have had him on loan anyway if Cooper wasn't there.
And what makes me sick is he's gone back to Wolves and he's only played 6 times.
Maybe we can have him next year if Cooper stays.
Well,
I hope so.
Hopefully.
His girlfriend's been tweeting saying like when she retires she wants to live in Swansea because it's an amazing place. So everyone jumped on that, didn't they? They were like, "Oh, come back next year."
Yeah,
so,
get down here now.
I mean, no, like literally, he obviously enjoyed his time. I think from what I've seen on like social media, the criticism Wolves fans have given to him, he's had a lot of stick since going back off Wolves fans. I feel like he did enjoy his time here, and he was a bit gutted to be going back.
Yeah, I think he would have been. I think he would have been a bit gutted because, like you said, we embraced him, didn't we? We knew what caliber of player we were going to get at the football club. He was going to give us a bit more, wasn't he, than what we already had in the team. So we were excited for him. When he first signed. I remember saying to you, Lee, when we had a conversation about it, I said, "This is a great signing. This is an absolutely fantastic signing." And you know what I mean.
You got him on your shirt, didn't you?
I got him on my shirt, yeah, because I think he's a great player. I do. I genuinely think the boy could go places. He can. He's got the skill level to go places. But unfortunately, Wolves called him back, and you got to deal with what we have got, haven't you? And hopefully, next Millwall now is a big test for these boys. Got to dig deep. We've got to show what he's made of. Show a bit of grit. Show a bit of steel.
Yeah.
And give it a bit.
Right. Let's wrap it up then, and let's revisit Millwall and predictions. So, what are we saying?
Why?
I'm in. I'm ready for this.
You already said.
Ready?
Technically, you're gonna have to say the same as what you said on Skype.
Yeah, I am. 2-0 Swans.
2-0
Back against the wall. Everybody's slagging us off. Everybody's saying Cooper out. He's going to turn up. He's going to do something magical. Connor Roberts is going to turn up as Cam or something.
Connor Roberts Cam.
He could do a job there the way he gets up and down.
Who's scoring?
He's going to tweak something and it's going to be the turning point.
Who's scoring?
Who's scoring?
Whittaker and Grimes.
That's I dare you to put the 10 on a 2-0 at Whittaker Grimes.
I tell you what, you'll probably be 1,000 to 1.
I'll check it on.
Definitely with a 10.
What are you saying then, Nicky?
Confident.
I'm going to say 1-0 Swans.
Yeah. Who's scoring?
I reckon it's going to be late on. I think we're going to struggle, first of all, but I think G. Fulton.
Top bins.
Top bins.
Sell t-shirts again then for days. I'm going to say 2-1 Swans then, and I'm going to say Low and Dander.
Dander?
Going for it. I think he's going to do what I said and say like Dander, mate. Tell me why.
He's going to turn up.
Tell me why I shouldn't sell you next summer.
Yes, he's going to turn up.
Back to Dander, though, he did say like earlier this season, like at the start of the season, that he regrets not playing Dander more last season. Kind of done it again, hasn't he?
We correct that by not playing him at all this year.
I know. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Well, anyway, cheers for coming on, lads. So hopefully we'll be able to revisit the next video in a more positive light after a win. It's a bit weird because we started this channel in January and the slump started after that. I know we've had a lot of...
It's you! It's you!
I know we've had a lot of wins to talk about, but in terms of like if we did the first half of the season, it would have been far more like exciting games to talk about.
I'm sure when I did the last video, we won, right? So let me just say, and I'm going to put a positive on this. I'm unbeaten so far on this podcast, so I think it's me. I think it's me. Boys.
So basically, if we win now because of this, you have to come on every video.
Every video. If I don't, I'm retiring.
You might never see Nicky again. So if that is the case, cheers for coming on. Hopefully we'll see you again, but we'll have to find out on Saturday, I guess.
Yes.
I mean,
you win. Come on.
Maybe we'll have to leak your Twitter so you get bombarded with. But
don't quote me. Don't quote me, Odie.
He's already pricking it now.
Yeah, I have full faith in the boys and Steve Cooper.
Yeah, well, let's turn it around then. Let's stop the negativity all over social media. It is what it is. What's happened's happened. If you want to go up still and you've got aspirations to do so, then all this shit talk all over social media is not going to do anyone any favours. It's not going to do our cause any good. So let's just stop it. Let's turn it. Let's go back to supporting the lads, supporting the manager, and push them to get where we want to be. So turn it into positivity, and I mean, hopefully we'll get the result that we want then. On that note, cheers for coming, lads, Lee and Nick, and she'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you very much, boys.
See you later. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, to click the like button to help us grow. To keep up to date with all of our new uploads, hit the subscribe button and push the bell to ensure you are notified of all of our new videos. As always, engage in the comments and let us know your opinions on what we discussed today. And if you want to support us directly, check out our new merch where you can find some awesome Swansea related t-shirts.